950. Real Texas, Real Talk. KPRC Houston, an iHeart radio station.
All right, those Saudis. I think OPEC Plus loves the position they're in right now, right? They're in control of what goes on with oil. This is what they had before Donald Trump, and this is what they've had with Joe Biden. They're in charge of the price of oil, and the only thing that the President Biden could do to manipulate the price of oil was to release the strategic reserve. So now we have a depleted strategic reserve, and I think we're pretty much out of any extra oil that we can go ahead and release next time around. So the Saudis are thinking, okay, now's the perfect time, right? We're already producing 1 million barrels a day less, and now we can go down, starting in July, at least for the month of July, we can go down another 1 million barrels and drive up the price of oil to something that we like a whole heck of a lot more. One of our oil guys, always willing to give his opinion on what's going on in the wonderful world of oil, Jay Young, oil and gas expert. He's at kingoperating.com. Welcome back, Jay. How about them Saudis, huh?
Yeah, I tell you what. Well, it's and when you said that, Jay Young's always willing to give his opinion. And I'm like, oh well, man. I tell you what, there's a lot of opinions. There's a lot of emotions. There's a lot of what are we going to do to keep these prices up? What are we going to do to keep prices low? Let's make this comfortable for the consumer. I mean, that's the most important thing. Is how we don't want to wreck the oil price and all of a sudden come in and go, hey, well, yeah, we're paying $2 at the tank, but then all of a sudden everybody's out of a job in Houston. We obviously don't want that, right?
Right.
So we are cautiously optimistic about what's going on right now with OPEC. I know over the weekend prices got up $3 a barrel. Now they're pretty flat today. I mean, I think we're seeing a very, very comfortable number to where we can all live. We can all drive back and forth to work if we're not in the oil and gas business, but it puts a lot more people employed, especially in Houston, if we do keep that price up, because it doesn't matter really who you are. If the prices go really bad in these areas, and if prices are bad and everybody's unemployed, not good for the region.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the stability we've enjoyed, because you're right. I mean, I want to think that, for weeks now I've been paying on average here in Houston about $2.85 a gallon for gasoline, and that's been consistent from week to week to week to week. For a while there, we had these go way up and then come down, and go way up and come back down again. It's been very, very steady. Why has it been so steady of late? And that being the case, if Houston is making money on oil, I would think the Saudis are making money on oil. Why do they feel the need to jack the price on oil up?
Yeah, that's a good question. And the Saudis are just trying to I guess, achieve supply and demand. So there's 100 million barrels of oil in the world every day that needs a home, and there's only so many different countries. With Russia, they're still selling oil at a cheaper price to India, China. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to make an equilibrium of all the different places that we can buy oil around the world, and they're just trying to keep prices high, but not too high. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they're not trying to kill us. I mean, they're trying to keep an equal price to where it doesn't, they don't want to put a lot more people back to work, or they don't want the United States to increase the rig count, which we have not increased our rig count here lately. It is really, it's like still down 20%.
Are they? Hang on. Are they worried during the Biden administration that somehow we're going to be drilling more oil? What would make them worry about that with these guys in charge?
Yeah, and that is true. There's a lot of politics involved in that decision on how we do drill and how we can stay out of it. Because we've been staying out of it. Our rig count's down. Rig count's down the last month. I mean, it's almost down as much now as it was before the pandemic, or right at the pandemic. So we're really down, and we really need to get back to drilling in the United States to keep everything, at the same level, and to keep our oil and gas, going here. Of course, gas prices are way down, natural gas prices are way down, and we're not drilling for natural gas, and oil's starting to come off now because, there's just not, the Wall Street's not getting what they need to for these companies. You're seeing a lot of companies that they're making about as much in 1 year as their company is worth on Wall Street. Their EBITDA maybe $400 million. That's what their stock's worth these days. It's crazy. I love buying these oil stocks at these cheaper prices, and I'd recommend all your listeners looking at oil and gas companies that right now are like I said, like Ring Energy. They're making $300 million a year. Their stock's worth about $350 to $400 million. I mean, it's like same as the same EBITDA that they have is what their stock is worth. So which means that they're making as much money in 1 year as their whole company is worth at these prices on Wall Street. That's never been around. I mean, that is, and I'm not just talking about Ring Energy. There's a lot, and I own a lot of Ring Energy stock. I'm not anywhere close to. I'm just a shareholder, and I love the company because of fundamentals and the acquisition they had a year ago. There's a lot of other stocks out there that are the same. Look at your earnings per year. How much EBITDA, the earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, look at your EBITDA and look at the stock price. In today's market, there's some great, WTI is another one. I mean, there's a lot of great stocks out there right now that are just crazy because they're selling for as much as they're worth.
Jay, you bring up green energy, and I can't help but think of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and Blackstone and all these other companies now. They have these DEI indexes. Obviously, a straight-up oil and gas company doesn't score well when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion and green energy most of the time. I assume that one of the reasons why traditional oil and gas companies are investing in green energy is to try to get that score up so that when they need to borrow money, they have somewhere they can go.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of those people are not coming back into the markets, and like Exxon. I mean, there's a lot of people. There's 2 or 3 people on the board of Exxon that's keeping them from drilling. So they're making all this money today, billions and billions of dollars, but they're not putting it back to work, drilling for oil and gas like they normally do. The normal cycles, and I'm a 4th generation. I've been around, 60 years old, and the normal cycle is, when oil and gas companies make all this money and billions of dollars, what they do is they normally just go, oh, hey, we have these billions of dollars and oil prices are higher, and all these projects that we have are more economical at these higher prices. So let's start drilling. But today they're not doing that, which is okay. If we're going to go to electric cars sooner than we thought, this is going to be not so good for oil and gas companies. But I don't think we're there yet. I think we're still 3 to 5 years away from us going and hurting our demand. Remember, oil and gas prices are all about supply and demand. I mean,
yeah.
it is all about, it's not us guys in Houston or Dallas or whoever that just set the prices for oil. And these oil and gas companies, they don't set the price of your gas tank. They don't. They drill and complete wells, and they do whatever they can to supply and to drill wells based on all the other economics in the world. They're not just sitting there waiting to gouge your gasoline, and all your people that are listening to this today. They have nothing to do with oil and gas prices. It's all about supply and demand. The more supply that we have right now, and if demand goes down, then obviously prices will come down. But we're having less supply on the market today, and with that less supply on the market and our demand continues to go up, we're going to see higher prices.
All right, Jay, let me ask you this before we let you go, and that is you mentioned natural gas and that there's less drilling right now for natural gas. And I'm wondering, with all these different areas talking about bans on natural gas stoves, with the failure to build more natural gas power plants for heating and cooling purposes, for electricity purposes, with that being down, is that one of the reasons why we're seeing less drilling? Is there an assumption that there's going to be less demand for natural gas going forward?
Yeah, well, I don't know about less demand, but I did. What you said was perfect. And I tell you what, I mean, and it comes back to supply and demand again, right? We have such high supply. And there's a lot of companies that have been drilling, and even though prices went from $8-9 per MCF a year ago, 6 months or a year ago, now they're down to $2.20. Now, if you're getting, it's like $90 oil to $20 oil. It's the same thing in the natural gas business. But there were still people that were continuing to drill, like Aethon. Aethon had 13 to 14 rigs. They were running them, drilling wells and like crazy, but they wouldn't come off of it for the longest time. So that increased the supply. And if you increase that supply and you have all these different places around the country with the storage, there's tons of storage everywhere that they don't have. They don't have a home for this gas. And then there was some LNG plants, Freeport, that was shut down, and all of a sudden they're opening back up. So now we're seeing that. But I'm sorry, that's a long answer to your question. It gets me all riled up because there was a lot of old. If you get my newsletter, go on kingoperating.com and ask. I send out a weekly newsletter with some of my thoughts about what's going on in the market. In the markets and some other things. There was a great song that I had. My song of the week last week was by Jelly Roll, Need a Favor. But anyway, that's a different story, different topic, I know. But I'm just saying that there was a lot of companies out there that were continuing to drill for natural gas, even though the price was $2, you know, and it just oversupplied us so much. So I don't know when. I mean, and then all of a sudden Biden says, if you buy a stove, we're going to send somebody over there or tax you more. I don't know what he's going to do, but I didn't.
It's all crazy. I don't know how you do. No. I can see how you drive yourself crazy, and that's why I only call you maybe 3 or 4 times a year, because I don't want to get your blood pressure any higher than it probably already is, Jay Young. But thank you, my friend, as always. Yeah. Appreciate you coming on the show and setting us straight on what's going on.
I appreciate it, man. Anytime. Let's catch up soon. Thank you.
All right, let's do it. Jay Young, 4th generation oil and gas man. Find him at kingoperating.com.